Picture a guy named John. He just drove home a gleaming 750 horsepower monster with leather seats that cost more than your rent. He negotiated the dealer down to an $800 monthly payment and now feels like a genius. But here's the brutal reality. John didn't just buy a truck. He signed a 7-year wealth destruction contract. By the time this thing is done draining him, that truck will cost him more than $130,000. Today, I'm going to show you the psychological trap that keeps middle-class earners locked into insane car payments, the secret game dealerships are actually playing, and the exact boring car strategy that could turn that same $800 a month into hundreds of thousands of dollars for your future. Because a lot of people think they bought a vehicle. What they actually bought is a slower way to stay broke. We've entered a very weird era where a $700 or $800 monthly car payment is treated like it's just normal. Not for rich people, not for luxury buyers, for regular people making regular salaries. That is insane. Dealers are not really selling cars anymore. They're selling monthly payments. That's the game. Stretch the loan to 84 months, sometimes even 96 or 120 months, and suddenly an $80,000 liability gets dressed up to look like a manageable monthly bill. But the monthly number is not the truth, it's the disguise, because while the payment feels survivable, the full math is catastrophic. You are agreeing to be financially strangled in slow motion for the better part of a decade. Quick check. If you multiply your car payment by the number of months you have left, what number do you get? If that number makes you feel slightly sick, good. That means you're finally looking at the real cost. Most people think their car costs them the payment. That is not true. Your car does not cost you the payment. It costs you the entire ecosystem wrapped around the payment. So let's run the numbers on John's $55,000 truck over a 7-year loan. 1. The loan $800 a month for 84 months equals $67,200. Already painful. 2. Insurance. Expensive trucks are expensive to insure. That's roughly $21,000 over the life of the loan. 3. Fuel. At 15 miles per gallon, John is burning around $350 a month on gas. That's about $29,400 total. 4. Maintenance. Modern trucks are loaded with tech, oversized tires, expensive parts, and repair bills that hit like a punch in the throat. Budget at least $15,000 over that period. Now add it up. That truck cost John about $132,600. And what does he have at the end? A vehicle that might be worth $15,000 by the time he finally owns it. That is not an asset. That is a fire pit for your cash. Flash a graphic showing the truck losing 20% of its value the second it leaves the lot, because that's the part people don't feel when they're test driving leather seats and touchscreen dashboards. If you think the dealership makes most of its money on the truck itself, you are looking in the wrong room. The real action is in the F&I office, finance and insurance. That room is often the most profitable part of the entire dealership. Why? Because their job is not to help you buy a car. Their job is to help you accept a payment. They keep your attention locked on the monthly number while they quietly manipulate. The interest rate, the loan term, the add-ons, the warranties, the financing structure. And the second they get you to roll negative equity from your old car into the new one, the trap gets even tighter. Now you owe more than the car is worth before you even drive it home. That is how the spiral starts. And once you're in that spiral, you become the perfect customer. Because now you're not buying transportation. You're managing debt with wheels attached to it. The payment is the trick. The total cost is the truth. And the dealer is not your friend. They are a financing company that happens to have cars in the parking lot. So why do people keep doing this? Because cars are not just transportation anymore. They're identity. Your brain is running ancient social software that wants to signal success, status, competence, power. You think people at the red light are noticing your chrome package, your trim level, your giant wheels. They aren't. And even if they are, they forget about you in 5 seconds. Psychologists call this the spotlight effect. We dramatically overestimate how much other people care about our status symbols. That truck feels like proof that you're winning, but in reality, the person most likely to be wealthy in your neighborhood is not the guy in the brand new truck. It's the person driving a 4-year-old Toyota and quietly maxing out their index fund. That person doesn't have a truck payment, they have margin, and margin is what creates freedom. Bring up Ronald Reed, the janitor who quietly built millions while driving used cars and living far below his means. Because wealth is very often boring on the outside. That's why most people miss it. Now let's look at Tyler. Tyler makes the same $85,000 a year as John, but Tyler drives a 2019 Camry with 74,000 miles on it. No car payment, no image management, no 7-year financial handcuffs. Instead, Tyler takes that $800 a month John is feeding into depreciation, interest, gas, and insurance, and he invests it into a boring S&P 500 index fund. At a historical long-term return of around 8% to 10%, that $800 a month can grow into more than $600,000 over 30 years. Same income, very different future. While John is working overtime to support a truck that is decaying in his driveway, Tyler is buying something far more valuable: options. That's what wealth is. Not the car you drive, not the badge on the grill, not the image. Wealth is the gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where freedom lives. Even $40 a week, a few unnecessary meals, a slightly nicer trim package, one lazy spending habit, can become $12,000 over time if invested. That's what people miss. The small stuff is not small when it repeats for years. You do not need to live like a monk, but you do need to stop volunteering to be a target. If you want to build wealth, your car strategy has to be boring, simple, and hard to exploit. 1. Buy used. Let someone else eat the massive first-year depreciation hit. You do not need to be the person paying full price so the next owner can get a deal. 2. Short loans or cash. If you can't pay it off in 3 years or less, there's a very good chance you can't actually afford it. 3. Reliability over ego. A 5-year-old Honda or Toyota is not sexy. That's exactly the point. Reliable, cheap to maintain, and already depreciated beats impressive every single time. Check your interest rate. If it's above 11%, you are not financing a car. You are financing a payday loan with tires. That is the kind of math that quietly destroys people. Stop performing for an audience that isn't paying your bills. The normal life in 2026 is mathematically broken, and the car payment trap is one of the clearest examples of that. Every extra dollar you feed into a truck is a dollar that never gets the chance to work for your future. So the question is not, can I afford the monthly payment? The real question is, what is this costing my future freedom? Because that is the only question that actually matters. If you're ready to stop being truck poor and start thinking in real numbers, subscribe for more brutal math. Remember, build wealth, not the appearance of it. I'll see you in the next one.